It's now time to address silent final E's. Silent final E's create a lot of confusion for many people in English. This is because most of us were taught only this first reason. If you see the words on the slide, we have cap becomes cape, pet, Pete, rip, ripe, and rob, robe when we add a silent E. And most of us know that the vowel sound changes because of the E, or the vowel says its name because of the E. Now, this is a very important reason for a silent E. In fact, it explains 50% of silent final E's. The problem is that it only explains 50% of silent E's, and if we don't teach students all the other reasons, that leaves us with thousands and thousands of words where we have to say that is an exception. Before we go on and teach the other reasons for a silent E, though, I'd like to do an exercise with you, one that can help students with this first reason for a silent E. Many students of English don't know the rule A-E-O-U usually say their names at the end of the syllable, and therefore they add silent final E's ad hoc every place, or they leave them off because they don't really know why they're there. So in this exercise, we are going to use words that have the long U sound. This is also a way for us to practice the fact that U has two long U sounds. Just as a review, the sounds of U are U, U, And you may recall that we have two long U sounds. We have U and U. The difference between these two sounds is one of them has the Y sound on it, and one says just U. And this is because it would be very difficult in words like flute to articulate flute. So that Y sound gets dropped. So in your teacher's training manual on page 142, you have a chart that looks like this. We have a place to write words where the vowel, where the U is saying its name at the end of the syllable, and another column where you can write the word where a silent E is making it say its name, which would be in the middle of the syllable. So you're going to need to listen to the word and then write it in the correct column. The first word is student. So say the word student and listen. Now, are you hearing the long U sound in the middle of the syllable or at the end? I'll sound it out for you by syllables. Student. So this is following the rule A-E-O-U, usually say their names at the end of the syllable, and you won't need a silent E because there's another reason for it to say its name. The next word is tuna. Where would you place tuna? That's right, the U is saying oo at the end of the syllable, so it goes again in the first column. Let's do the word pure. Here you're hearing the U sound in the middle of the syllable, so you'll place it in the silent E column. Let's try the word flute. Where do you hear the long U sound? That's right, in the middle of the syllable, so it will go under the silent final E column. How about the word human? Human. Here you hear the U at the end of the syllable, so you'll place it in the A-E-O-U, usually say their names at the end of the syllable column. How about cute? That's right. Once again, it's in the middle of the syllable, so it's a silent E word. How about rule? Middle of the syllable, silent E word. How about unit? Unit, it's at the end of the syllable, so it follows the rule A-E-O-U, usually say their names at the end of the syllable. All right, we're ready to learn the second reason for a silent final E in English. You may be surprised to know that you already know the reason. Look at the words on the list. We have, give, mauve, solve, comprehensive, corrosive. Why do we have a silent E in these words? You're right. English words do not end in I, U, V, or J. So every time you hear the sound V at the end of the word, you need a silent final E. This is one of these rules that I wish someone had told me right away in kindergarten because it would have saved so much headache and so much rote memorization. Also notice this rule applies to little words and it applies to big words. Knowing this rule is also essential to our logical literal students who will misread have as have and give as give again and again and again. And all we need to tell them is English words don't end in V, and they have all the information they need to spell this word. Also, look at the second list. We have the word true. blue, value, continue. Why do we have a silent final E in these words? That's right, English words don't end in U. So the second reason for a silent final E is English words do not end in V or U. Let's look at these words. Why do we have a silent final E in choice, commerce, force, absence, and voice? In fact, what would it say without the E? You're right, it would say choik. So we need the E to make the C say S in choice, in commerce. Why do we have a silent E in change, orange, large, language, and avenge? What would it say? What would this say without the E? It would say chang. So the G softens to J because of the E in these words. This is the third most common reason for a silent final E in English. The C says S and the G says J because of the E. Now let's learn the fourth most common reason for a silent E in English. To learn this reason, though, I want us to take a few minutes to consider the sound ul. Now, is ul a consonant or a vowel? Ul. It's a consonant because it's blocked. To say the ul sound, your tongue is actually lifting up and touching the top of your mouth and blocking the sound. However, can I sustain it? Ul. I can. Can I sing it? Ul. Kind of. And can I make it louder and softer? Ul. To a limited degree, I can. In these ways, L, or the ul sound, is a lot like a vowel, and therefore at the end of the word, it will sometimes act like a vowel in the syllable. Let's look at this word, table. Do you hear the vowel in the second syllable, bul? No, you just hear a ul. Therefore, we add a written vowel called a silent final E, because every syllable in English must have a vowel. I also have another example for you of differences between British and American English. You will notice that many times words, such as what you see on the screen, theater, are spelled with a silent E in British English and spelled with the phonogram ER in American English. The reason is is much like L. It acts and has some properties of a vowel. You can sustain it. However, it is a blocked sound, and so it is a consonant. Now, originally in English, these were spelled with a silent final E. However, this is part of the changes that Daniel Webster brought when he wrote the Webster's Dictionary to American English. There's one word that Daniel Webster did not change, and I will put it up on the screen for you. It is acre. Why would he not change acre to an ER? You're correct. It would say acer if he had changed it. So he knew those rules and he was very consistent. And that left a word that has the silent E for the syllable with the R in American English as well. So the fourth most common reason for a silent final E is every syllable must have a written vowel. Now let's use this rule to discover something else about spelling in English. I have a list of words for you on page 145 of the Teacher's Training Manual. We will also be putting the words on the screen. As you read the words, I want you to divide them into syllables. I then want you to ask yourself, when does the first vowel in the word say its long sound? And when does the first vowel in the word say its short sound? Is there a pattern that you can see in these words as you look at words that end in a silent E for the syllable? So the first word we'll look at is table. Table. Here the A is saying its long sound and it's at the end of the syllable. We'll compare that to babble. Bab-bull. Here you hear a short A sound and you'll notice that there's two B's in this word. Whereas in table, where you hear the long vowel sound, there's only one B. Let's look at bubble. The U is saying its short sound, and you'll see there's two B's. Uncle. Here the U is saying the short sound, but there's two consonants, an N and a C. Cradle. You hear a long sound, so how many D's will there be? There's only one. Middle. We hear a short I sound, so we have two D's. You can continue this pattern using the other words in the Teacher's Training Manual. You've now learned 4 out of the 9 reasons for a silent final E. These are the most common reasons. I have included for you in the manual on page 146 through page 149 a lot of ideas for practicing silent final E words. These ideas include extensive examples of silent final E words and games that you can play to practice them with your students. It is very important that students understand why the E is in a word, and this is going to come back in just a little bit in the suffixing section. So it's important that you teach your students all of the reasons for a silent final E and that they can identify them quickly and easily within words. In the meantime, let's go on to Spelling List 8, which is found on page 151 of the Teacher's Training Manual. Once again, turn off the video, dictate the list, and then come back. This is our final list for this session. Let's complete Spelling List 8. The first word is celebrate. We will celebrate your birthday on Friday. You will say to spell cel-e-brate. How many syllables? 3. The first syllable is cel. S. This is a k. S. E-ul. The second syllable is e. The third syllable is brate. B-r-a-t. Silent final E. Go ahead and write it. And now let's write it on the board. The first syllable is cel. S-e-ul. The second syllable is e. And the third syllable is brate. B-r-a-t. Silent final E. Why did the C soften to s? It's before an E. How will we mark this? We'll put a line over it. Why did the E say its name? It's at the end of the syllable. How will we mark this? We'll put a line over the A because it said its name. And why did it say its name? Because there's a silent final E. We'll mark the silent final E with 2 lines. Anytime we use 2 lines, it's to indicate that something is silent. And so this is indicating that we have a silent final E in celebrate. The next word is give. Give me the cup. Give. Let's sound it out together. G-I-V. And what will you need at the end? That's right, a silent E. Go ahead and write it. And now help me to write it. G-I-V. Silent final E. Why do we have a silent final E in give? Because English words do not end in V. So we'll underline the V once to show it's the reason for the E, and then underline the E twice. The next word is blue. Evelyn has blue eyes. Blue. Let's sound it out together. B-l-u. This is, then we'll need a silent final E because we have the u-u-u here. Go ahead and write it. And now help me to write it. B-l-u, silent final E. And why do we have a silent final E in blue? English words do not end in U. Make. I will make the birthday cake. Make. Let's sound it out together. M-A-k. This is a tall k, silent final E. Go ahead and write it. And now help me to write it. M-A-k, silent final E. Why do we have a silent final E in make? To make the A say its long sound. Now, I have a question for you. Why can we not spell make like this? We cannot spell it like that because otherwise it would say mace. The E would make the C say S. And why can't we spell it like this? Because 2-letter K is only used after a single short vowel. So you can see here that there's only one way to spell make in English. The next word is rescue. The boys will rescue the dog. How many syllables in rescue? 2. The first syllable is res. S. The second syllable is Q. K. This is a K. S. U. And that's right, silent final E. Go ahead and write it. And now help me to write it. S. K. U, silent final E. Why do we have a silent final E in rescue? Because of the U. English words do not end in V or U. The sixth word is accident. The train accident was late at night. We are going to say to spell ac-si-dent. How many syllables? 3. The first syllable is ac. A-k. This is a k. S. The second syllable is si. S. This is a k. S. I. Dent. D-e-n-t. Go ahead and write it. And now help me to write accident. The first syllable is ac. A-k. The second syllable is si. S. I. And the third syllable is dent. D-e-n-t. Now, in accident, why did this C say k here? Because it's before a consonant, and C softens to s only before an E, I, or Y. Why did it say s here? Because it's before an I. Now, I want you to notice this looks like the sh phonogram. However, just because two letters are next to each other doesn't necessarily mean that they are a phonogram. Rather, we need to look at how they are being pronounced and how they're used within the word. Also, many of you throughout this video have been probably wondering why the rule is A-E-O-U, usually say their names at the end of the syllable. You're probably wondering about what about I and Y. You'll see in the word accident, it's clearly saying its short sound. We are going to have an extensive section on I and Y following this list. So hold on and you'll be able to learn more about this concept. The seventh word is yesterday. Liam got a perfect score yesterday. Say to spell yes, ter, day. What is the first syllable? Yes. Y-e-s. The second syllable is ter, t, This is the of her. And the third syllable is day, d-a. This is two-letter A that you may use at the end of English words. Go ahead and write it. Make sure that you're sounding these aloud as you write them. And now help me to write it. The first syllable is yes, y-e-s. The second syllable is ter, t, and the third syllable is day, d-a. How will we mark this? We'll underline the and we'll underline the a. The next word is student. The student read the book. How many syllables in student? 2. The first syllable is stew, s-t-u. The second syllable is dent, d-e-n-t. Go ahead and write it. And now help me to write it. The first syllable is stew, s-t-u. The second syllable is dent, d-e-n-t. How will we mark it? We'll put a line over the U because the U said its long sound at the end of the syllable. The ninth word is knife. Be careful with the knife. Let's sound it out together. N. This is two-letter N used only at the beginning of the base word. I, f, silent final E. Go ahead and write it. And now help me to write it. N, I, f, silent final E. How will we mark it? We'll put a line over the I because it said its name. And why did it say its name? Because of the silent final E. That's the rule. The vowel says its name because of the E. The 10th word is practice. To become a strong reader and speller, you must practice every day. How many syllables in practice? 2. The first syllable is prac, p-r-a-k. This is a k. The second syllable is tis, t-is. This is also a k. And what will you need? Let's write a silent final E. Go ahead and write it. And now help me to write it. The first syllable is prac, p-r-a-k. And the second syllable is tis, t-is, silent final E. Why did we add a silent final E to practice? To make the C say its soft sound. Without it, it would say pratic. Very good. I'd like to now continue and talk about suffixes in English. One of the biggest problems for spelling in English is adding suffixes correctly. It's actually one of the areas that there's the most confusion. Let's begin with silent final E words. How many of you learned the rule, drop the E when adding ing? Now, if you're anything like most of the people I speak with across the country, this is the rule you learned about how to add a suffix to words ending in a silent final E. I have no idea why we limited it to ing. There are many, many suffixes in English, and it seems to be that for many, many decades, the textbooks publishers found this to be a convenient rule because it rhymed. How many of you learned the rule, drop the E when adding a vowel suffix? Now, maybe a few of you. This rule is almost correct. However, we need to know why the E was needed to know if we can drop the E or not. So let's take a look at a few example words. We have the word like. Why do we need a silent final E in like? To make the I say its name. And we can drop the E in like to make liking, and we can drop the E in like to make likable. We can drop the silent final E in service to make serviced. But why can we not drop the silent final E in service to make serviceable? Because it would say cervicable. C softens to only before an E, I, or Y. And therefore, if we dropped the E, it would say its hard sound. We can drop the silent final E in notice to say noticing. But why can we not drop the E in notice to make noticeable? You're right, it would say noticable. So the rule is drop the silent final E when adding a vowel suffix only if it is allowed by other spelling rules. And those spelling rules that you need to pay attention to are C softens to S when followed by an E, I, or Y, and G may soften to J when followed by an E, I, or Y.